This Week in Startups is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn has marketing tools to help you target your customers with precision. To redeem a $100 LinkedIn ad credit and launch your first campaign, go to linkedin.com/thisweekinstartups. And Four Sigmatic. Awaken your mind and support your well-being. Special offer for Twist, 15% off foursigmatic.com/twist or use discount code TWIST at checkout.
Hey everybody, happy 2019. It's me, your pal, Jason Calacanis, angel investor and entrepreneur, writer, podcaster, yada yada, here in the Silicon Valley. If you don't know me, where you been? I invest in 50 companies a year. We have an accelerator, we have a syndicate, and we, as a company, have about 500 pitches that are sent to us through various means every week. Of those, probably 10% are viable venture-backed companies, or companies that could be venture capital-backed. In other words, they're companies that could grow to 100 million. And what's happened is over the last 10 years of taking these pitches, we've learned a lot. We know what the investors downstream from us as angels are interested in, and we have 200 investments, the majority of which will fail. And we watch them fail over and over again, and we study the failure to see if we can give better advice to founders out there. On this podcast, This Week in Startups, we'll do office hours and Ask Jason episodes where we talk to founders about what they're struggling with, and we just try to help. So if you're interested in that, you've come to the right place. It's going to be a great episode. We've got some amazing challenges that we're going to try to help founders overcome, or at least maybe get a fresh perspective on. And I have somebody on the line right now. Who's this?
Hi, it's Rob. Calling in from Scotland.
Rob from Scotland. Good to hear from you.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Mark Knopfler fan, as everybody who knows. And one of my favorite films, Local Hero.
Okay.
You know that film? Local Hero.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it popular there? Not very popular here in the States.
I'm not really sure. Yeah, I'm originally from the States. But,
Got it. Okay.
But yeah.
All right. So you have a startup or a blocker or a question?
Yeah. So yeah. First off, thanks so much for taking the call. It's an early stage consumer startup called Kindaba, and it's a private sharing platform for families. And my question is around metrics. We're really early stage, and we've been focused on metrics like retention, viral coefficient, and basically just getting to our first 1,000 happy users, making sure that we're really understanding the mechanics of the user persona that we're going after, primarily because we're not a typical social media platform. And when we speak to product people, they talk about the stuff that we're focused on, the kind of virality and the retention. And they say that total signups is just vanity, but most investors that we talk to only want to hear about those kind of metrics. And sometimes we feel like they're confusing us with straight social networks. So my question is, what's the right approach when trying to benchmark what good looks like for us?
Fantastic. This is a great question. There's a lot of meat here, so we're going to get through it. What I'm going to start with is just understanding your business. It's a private social networking service, a private SNS. And this social networking service, like Facebook or Twitter, is designed to occur in private for families. Am I correct? So it would be in the vein of Path, rest in peace, or any other private social network like that.
Yeah, definitely though targeted at the user persona of families. It's not just like a private network. Yeah.
So Life 360 comes to mind as a social network for families. And I think their killer feature is the ability to find your family members on a map, but we'll put that aside for now. So kudos on you. I think it's an important space. I think it's an interesting space. And for people who are listening who are new to entrepreneurship, a user persona, it's pretty simple. You're trying to imagine who is going to be the decision maker who engages with your product. So in this case, the user persona might be stay-at-home moms or dads who are responsible for coordinating activities for their kids or dealing with photo sharing and planning. In other cases, maybe the persona would be a single mom or dad or parent who the single parent had to have a different set of challenges. Maybe they're trying to program the 3 days they have their kids versus the 4 days that their co-parent has, etc. So building personas is helpful because it allows everybody in the company to get an idea of who you're targeting. That helps in customer acquisition. It helps in design, right? So if you're going after urban parents, it might be different than parents who live in the suburbs or in the country. So that's great. You're obviously been reading up on how to build a startup. Is this your first startup, or have you done a couple?
So I did a nonprofit startup a few years ago. We drove around the U.S. in a converted school bus.
Great.
But yeah.
Okay. So it's your first for-profit startup, so you know some of the important terms. So that is going to basically separate you from half the entrepreneurs out there. Congratulations, you're now in the top half. Retention, for those who are listening, is just what it sounds like. Do people keep using your product? Do they use it for 5 days and then churn? They leave or not? Viral coefficient, for those of you who are listening who don't know what that is every time you join LinkedIn or another social networking service, they say, hey, do you want to invite other people? Oh, here's your address book. Let's build an interface that's a little bit confusing. So you say next, and it automatically invites 100 of your friends, and they get upset. The reason the viral coefficient is so powerful is if you get one sign up and they invite 5 people and one of them becomes a customer, now you've got a viral coefficient of 1.2, right? So for every customer you get, that one customer, it generates another, or it'd be a 0.2, I guess. You get another
0.2, yeah.
fifth of a customer. Now, if every customer brings one customer, you got a coefficient of 1, and that means the product's going to grow at a pretty good pace. But if you get above that, 1.5, 2, or 1.7, let's say. So everybody who joins brings 1.7 people with them. Oh boy, because that next 1.7 is going to bring 1.7, is going to bring 1.7. So the fact that you're even tracking it is also magical. But as you point out, this is a different type of social network. And the reason why venture capitalists are very quickly getting to the point of saying, well, just tell me about the raw growth. Tell me about how many users you have, is because you've done such a good job in showing that you understand these other metrics. So what you're learning is that savvy investors are immediately going to go check. Okay, this person understands their personas. Oh, the product is well designed. Oh, the founder is passionate about the vertical. You're checking off all the boxes, and then you're just getting to the meat and potatoes of it, which is this growing or not? And you're coming into social networking in the second decade. So if you're in the second decade, you have to be cognizant of the fact that most people are going to be burnt out on the space. They may have lost money in the space. They may think it's insurmountable to beat Facebook. I happen to not think that. And I think that's changing now that we see Facebook having a lot of trouble. So they're going to be looking, one group of people is just going to be looking at, hey, can these founders, or this founder and this team, can they make the product grow? Because they know enough people who can build a product. Building a product, not a big deal in 2019. Being able to study your metrics. Now that there's a bunch of tools out there, it's actually not that big of a deal, even though it separates you from half of founders. So they're just getting to the meat and potatoes, which is, hey, can these people be dogged and can they be resourceful and grow this product? Do they have customer acquisition channels? Do they know how to grow their product? Are they obsessed? Because we used to have a world in which, just 10 years ago, founders were obsessed with building products. Then, since Facebook, Uber, Airbnb, and these really fast-growing startups, much faster than the startups before them, started growing into unicorns so quickly, the focus became, can you be a growth founder? We assume that you're going to be able to build a great product. We assume you're going to have all the measurement tools. Let's just get to, the cut to the chase. Can you grow it? So that's what you're facing. And the other question you need to get is, can this network be monetized? Is there some interesting spin you have? So I don't know if you get that question a lot. And, it could be as easy as saying we're going to be an advertising business, but, you need to have tremendous scale to do that. So do you get that question as well?
Yep. And we usually start out by saying, so it's free to use and no ads and no data selling. So that's our kind of our
it'll be
angle.
Subscriptions, premium subscription.
No. So there'll be some freemium features for some customers, but then it's also like physical gifting, so like photo books and other things, making use of the content that you're already sharing on there.
Yeah, and the thing with the photo books is a lot of people have tried that. It winds up being a small opportunity, like low millions of dollars. So even, Apple had photo books, and they may have discontinued it actually. So the photo book thing, be careful. That might signal that you're kind of delusional and, believe like, oh, wow, we're going to make a free service that has no advertising and we're going to figure out how to make a couple of nickels selling photo books. It might negative signal to them. You need to have a really compelling case that either you're advertising or that people will pay for it. There could be a third way, but they're generally, it's hard enough to build an at-scale social network, let alone trying to build a new business model. It's possible, it's just not probable. So I think when you're talking to investors, if you explain to them that you don't have a leaky bucket, that people want the product, that this persona, really engages deeply with it, and you're going to refine your product 2 or 3%, make it 2 or 3% better every fortnight, maybe 5-10% better. The product gets 5% better every month.
Yeah.
Then the whole conversation is steered to how do you acquire customers? How do you acquire customers? And I think that's where you can really start to focus your energy. If you know the product doesn't churn, in other words, people don't start and then stop very quickly, then it's time to figure out if there's real world things you can do, like meetups, if there's a profitable way for you to do content marketing. Is there a pitch that you can do to the press, local press, that makes it grow? All those unique, in some cases, and tried and true growth discussions. So that's what you're probably, that's probably a great way for you to engage this question and build credibility. So just say to the investors who are asking about it, we know we don't have a leaky bucket. We have a product people love. Here are the 7 experiments we're running this quarter. Next quarter, we're going to run these 7 experiments. And then we're going to take the learning from those 14 experiments, whichever 3 do the best, we're going to triple down on them. Does that make sense?
Yep, makes perfect sense.
Because you're just being honest with them. You're saying, listen, we don't know exactly what the growth technique is. We have this list of the 10 things that everybody knows works. But here are a handful of other ones that we want to try.
Yeah.
Now you've shown that you understand lean startup methodology, that you understand there isn't a silver bullet, that you're hardworking and you're willing to be humble and try different things.
Yeah.
That's the conversation that investors love to engage in.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. I wish you luck with it.
Appreciate it.
Tell us the name of it again. We'll give you one more plug for people to try it out.
It's called Kindaba, Kindaba.
Kindaba. What does it mean?
Yes. So kin for family, and Indaba is a gathering place. So it's a place for your family to gather. There you go.
Kindaba.
Yes.
Kindaba. I like the name, actually. You said it so fast, I didn't get it. But when you say Kindaba, I kind of like it. And it's a very beautiful website, by the way. I'm looking at it right now.
Thank you.
It's good looking. I wish you luck with it. Keep us in the loop. Okay, we're going to take another caller when we get back. You want to build long-term relationships with the most important people in the world. You're going to do that through LinkedIn. You use LinkedIn every day, I'm sure, just like me. And 500 million professionals are engaging on LinkedIn. These are your future customers, and they are super high-quality leads, and you can reach them through LinkedIn marketing. And you can message your customers by job title or by company name or industry. And in fact, we are using it. And here, my CMO, Presh, made this quick video of how he's using it. He set a campaign goal to find companies that are interested in advertising on this very podcast, This Week in Startups. And LinkedIn allowed us to specify which information we wanted to collect. In our case, it's the name, email, company name, phone number, job title, industry. And when you're building a campaign, you can target the exact position. So here we're saying we want people who are in marketing, maybe a marketing manager, a marketing executive, marketing consultant, etc. We picked what size company, and we can pick a budget for ourselves, where we want the ad to appear, and bingo, bango, boom. All of a sudden, we start getting leads for people who want to partner with us. You can do this right now, and I'm going to give you $100. That's right, $100 to use on LinkedIn for marketing. I want you to go to linkedin.com/thisweekinstartups, and you will get $100, a hundy, right now. So please go there now you have to go there now before they take away this offer. I don't know how long this offer is going to last. It's incredibly generous. LinkedIn.com/thisweekinstartups. No spaces. You know how to spell This Week in Startups. It's a great way to reach the exact most targeted audience you want. And just think about that. You want to get advertisers or people to buy your product, and you put a form up where they can sign up and you can get those hot leads, those warm leads, those great, juicy, amazing hot leads. You can get them right now. Go to linkedin.com/thisweekinstartups and get that hundy and get started. It really works. It's awesome. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis. Follow me on the Twitter @Jason. And if you want to see me cooking meat, follow me on Instagram, instagram.com/Jason. That's all I do. I cook prime rib, some brisket, all kinds of steaks. So our next caller is on the line. Who do I have on the line?
So you have Derrick Johnson calling in from Encounter AI.
Okay. And where are you based, Derrick?
San Francisco.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling all the way from San Francisco. I guess you're a couple blocks from me. Tell me, what is the big blocker you have at your company?
So the big blocker for us is generating actionable leads and converting those leads into pilots with our target customers.
Okay. So you have to find qualified leads, and then you have to turn those qualified leads for your enterprise AI, artificial intelligence software or software as a service product into paying customers, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And how are you currently doing that?
So today we're doing that through a variety of means. Of course, you have your cold and warm email cycles, and then we're also looking at digital things like tracking pixels for individuals that do come to our website or our media entities. But beyond that, we're looking for, best-in-class strategies to improve that hit rate.
Got it. Okay. So you're doing some tried and true stuff. Do you know what title, and do you understand this yet, which title, which role inside of a company is most likely to make the decision and engage you? Is it the VP of, is the CTO? Is it the CEO? Is it the VP of sales? I'm not sure who you're targeting the company. Have you figured that out yet?
Right. So at the, if you would say the enterprise franchise level, we're targeting the chief operating officer, right? That's the guy that kind of moves things around. And then at the franchisee level, we're looking at owner operators, so individuals that run their own stores and can make those business decisions.
Great. So inside the franchise company, the operations person, which could be a COO or a VP of ops, and then at the franchise level, they can also engage. Which one results in the bigger contract? I'm curious. And what are the sales cycles like? Do the franchise have a short sales cycle and the CEO a long one, or vice versa?
So definitely, you hit it right on the head. The big fish is at the enterprise level, essentially you can go in and you can do contracts that cover multiple regions as well as nationally. At the franchise level, again, you may be hit on the head where you may get a person that has 25 or 50 stores, and that's a brilliant deal. But oftentimes you find individuals that have 2 to 3 stores, right? And so as you can imagine, the effort to close them and have them be of value is much more lucrative at the franchise level.
Okay. So at the franchise, as opposed to the franchisee level, you get 2 different rewards. Now, is the sales cycle the same for both, or is it like half the amount? Is one week, 2 phone calls, and the other 20 phone calls and 3 visits to their headquarters? Or?
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. It's definitely shorter at the franchisee level, just because they have the autonomy once we prove the value to them to make that purchasing decision. As you can imagine, up the chain, it's much harder, and we're fighting much more incumbents to get that space. So,
got it. Have you closed any of the chains, and has that worked out to be successful when the franchise then pushes the technology to the franchisees? Do they adopt it, or do they resist it?
So we haven't closed any at the franchise level yet. We're still working independently amongst franchisees.
So this is great. I have enough information here, I think, to give you some good ways to look at this. One of the great things about landing the end consumer is that it's a short sales cycle, that they're on the front lines, and that they, like a soldier on the front lines, have to hold the gun. They're responsible for being in that trench with that weapon, fighting that fight. When you go sell the guns to the person who's the general, in this metaphor, that would be the franchise, they may not have been in the trench ever or for decades. And they might hand the gun to somebody in the field and they'd be like, this is not what I'm looking for. So you're going to get this very true feedback from the people who are on the front lines. And they will be very quick to unsubscribe from your service if it sucks. And they will tell you why. This sucks because it's too expensive. This sucks, it's too difficult to use. So if you wanted to sell a new type of, weapon, or if we're going to use a chef metaphor, you got some sort of new knife. Yeah, you want to get that frontline cook who's got to cut the vegetables to actually use the knife. So I prefer you to go after the short sales cycle and the more modest reward, not just because it's an easier sale, but because of the feedback you're going to get. So you can refine the product. Additionally, they're going to share with each other at their annual convention or at their franchise message board or at a dinner. Oh yeah, no, I found this thing. It's incredible. You have to use it at your Subway, or, you got to use it at your Cinnabon. I don't know what franchises you're going after, but, one Cinnabon guy, the Cinnabon king of Atlanta might be talking to the Cinnabon queen of Texas and say, hey, this new spatula is great at spreading frosting, or whatever the metaphor is. So I really like that for you. And it will feel better to get those easy wins. And you're a startup, so it's not like you have unlimited time to sit around. The sales cycle for a franchise, if you do close one, it might be a year. You don't have the time. This is why companies like Slack, Yammer, Asana, they did not try to go in and win the top level CTO. They said, let's win, this group of developers over here. Let's win the group of salespeople over here, and let them sign up one account at a time, use their corporate card, $10 a month per person, $25 a month per person, and build up consensus in the organization that this is the best tool. Because what happens when they go to the manager is, and I'm a manager and I've been a manager for most of my career, when your front level troops come to the general and say, this weapon is allowing us to win the war, then it puts the general in the position to say, no, I want you to use a weapon that I don't have to use. Of course they're not going to do that. They're going to give the troops what they want. And that's one of the great things about how the IT business and the tool business has changed over the last 20 years. When I started in IT 25 years ago in New York, some VP of information science or the CTO or the COO would go golfing with Lotus Notes' representative and Oracle's representative. They'd cut some deal, and then everybody would be forced down their throats to use that software. And it would take years to implement. Now, people implement stuff today, right now. They take out their credit card, they try it. If it sucks, they unsubscribe. So build up each one of those little franchisees who've got 10 or even 2 or even 1. They're going to give you such beautiful feedback. And that's where, you're year 1 or 2 as a startup, I take it?
Yes.
You need to know how to make that product so indispensable that people, when you double the price, will say, I have no other choice. I need this product. This is making me money. This is saving me time, or making me money, or making life easier. And hopefully your software makes them more money and saves them time. I'm assuming it does.
Yes, definitely.
And that's the great recipe, man. If you can save people time and money in this life, or entertain them, man, you're going to have a franchise on your hands. I mean, look at This Week in Startups, right? I'm helping you save you a little bit of time, maybe save you a little bit of money, and maybe get entertained on the margins if I say something funny. But yeah, you gotta. What's the name of the business one more time?
Encounter AI. Encounter
AI. And so, what do you do for the franchises? I'm wondering.
And so, right. So we streamline the ordering process through drive-through as well as on the counter. And so, essentially, what we do is we augment that human and machine relationship. And translate in almost in near real time an order. So we can, if a person pulls up to the drive-through, essentially we can take that order from them speaking it, send it to the point of sale system, get them back totals end to end. And so that's what we're doing today.
That is so brilliant. So you drive up and you're like, listen, let me get a hash brown, I get 2 Egg McMuffins, 1 with cheese, no cheese, and give me a 32-ounce cherry Coca-Cola. It puts all that in. Oh my God, that is so brilliant. That was a great call. All right. Let's go and take a quick break, and we'll come back with some more calls and questions from our amazing founders. Okay, everybody, I want to tell you right now about a natural superfood company that is specializing in mushroom-based drinks that benefit immunity, energy, and longevity. That company, of course, is Four Sigmatic. I love this product. I drink it every day. Lion's Mane is what I drink. I also drink their hot cacao, but I'll put that aside for a second and tell you it's very important. It's not coffee, but it's made with 100% organic Arabic coffee beans, and it doesn't taste like mushrooms, even though it's got that mushroom goodness in it. It's long been used by Buddhist monks to help them with focus during meditation, And I love to meditate. And it is delicious. It will make you more productive and focused and creative, and it balances stimulation. You don't get too many jitters. It's balanced stimulation. Coffee without the jitters. So it's my go-to morning beverage, and many of the people here at our office are getting addicted to it. We're going through it like crazy. It's the perfect kickstart in the morning or to power through in the afternoon. Whenever your brain needs a little energy, you're going to get that Four Sigmatic Lion's Mane, or they have a matcha, bunch of different options. And it's got half the caffeine, but double the mental clarity. So go ahead, and here's an incredible offer. 15% off all orders placed on their website. I know you can buy stuff in different places. Please go to foursigmatic.com/twist. Four Sigmatic, that's FOURSIGMATIC.com/TWIST. Foursigmatic.com/twist. But use that promo code TWIST and you'll get 15% off. That means roughly if you order 6 or 7 boxes, that 6th or 7th one is going to be free. So get in there and get that 15% off. Foursigmatic.com/twist. Foursigmatic.com/twist. And if you want, mix the Lion's Mane with the hot cacao. You get that mocha no joker. That's what I do sometimes when I'm doubling down. It's really great stuff. We love it. My wife is addicted to it. At the office, people are getting addicted to it. You're going to love it. Okay, let's get back to this amazing episode. Okay, welcome back, everybody. This is our special office hours with me, your boy, J-Cal, J-Dog, in the building, Mr. Calacanis. You can reach me anytime, jason@calacanis.com, first name at last name. If it's an interesting email, I might even reply, but I do read all of them. And I love meeting founders when they have their companies just getting started. You got your MVP, you got a couple of customers. That's my sweet spot. If you have an idea, everybody's got ideas. I like people who build stuff. Speaking of people who build stuff, do we have a entrepreneur and builder on the line?
Hey, how's it going, Jason? It's Mat Sherman.
Oh, my Twitter pal. How you doing, Matt?
Doing pretty great. How about you?
Tell me, what's going on at PubLoft?
What's going on at PubLoft?
You have a blocker?
Since we last met, do I what?
Yeah,
I do have a blocker. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, let's do it.
So biggest blocker is that we are now at a MRR where pretty credible investors are interested, but we could be just fine without taking any money. And I'm kind of having this dilemma of, like, we could go farther with money, but we could potentially go smarter without money. And I don't really know what to do because we could do either. And that's blocking me in itself because we've got to hire developers. We have to hire a few more marketing people, and I'm not sure what to do. And the decision's been wrecking me for the last couple of months as we've been growing our revenue quite rapidly.
Okay, so for people who don't know, go to PubLoft.com and you can see what Derrick is working on. They basically, reading from the website, we craft quality content for your blog that attracts your ideal website visitors so you can focus on building a great business, SEO-driven, and charmingly linguistic. So you help people write blog posts because they're too busy. They don't take advantage of this, and then then people will beat them in the marketplace. You can spend $500 a month or $3,500 a month. It's a service/software-based business, so it's going to be looked at a certain way by investors, right? Because you're writing stuff, people are going to consider it, oh, you're just like an agency. But you're actually building a marketplace, right? Am I correct? You're matching, you don't have all the writers on staff, do you?
Nope, no writers on staff. They're all our freelancers.
Perfect. So you pay the average writer, I'm guessing, if they're a good copywriter, $30 an hour, $40 an hour?
We pay per post. We pay in between $150 and $225 a post.
And the post is probably 400 words, 600 words?
Posts are in between 600 and 1,000 words, depending on the customer.
So let's say 800 words, $200, 25 cents a word is what you're paying. and then the customer pays $500. So you got about 50% margin. Is that about right?
With all our current customers, we have about 40% margin when it comes down to the actual numbers.
Great.
Sorry, 60% margin. 40% is getting taken from writers, be 60% margin.
Right. So it's a marketplace for writers. You know I'm a fan of marketplaces, and we've been talking about you maybe coming to the accelerator or something at some point. So how many full-time employees do you have right now? I'm just curious. FTEs, full-time or full-time equivalent?
There's me, there's my partner, and we have one full-time equivalent, and then we have a lot of like hands-on freelance help, but they're not all full-time. So technically it's me, my partner, and one full-time worker.
Got it. Okay. So you're lean and mean, and you're starting to make money. I think you hit break-even to modest profitability, correct?
We were actually profitable from the first day. We're up to 25,000 MRR right now. And we're like wildly profitable, which is like makes us want to hire a developer. But like we're kind of strapped on like if we want the best developer we can get, we might need a raise, or we can get an okay developer and bootstrap. And that's like not sure what to do.
Got it. And you originally were more of a marketplace, but now you got people to subscribe. So you're getting people to actually pay for those subscriptions. So every month you know the money's coming in.
Every month, exactly.
So that's changed things for you, hasn't it? Moving from like just selling onesie twosie blog posts to being like on a monthly retainer essentially.
Yep, exactly. But the retainer, like the great thing about this model is that we don't invoice anyone; it's just auto bill. So we have a customer getting 9 posts a month, and that's a great charge every month for us, and that comes automatically. There's no wondering if they're going to pay or not.
Fantastic. Okay, so I think I have enough to go on here. You're at that crossroads. There's 2 ways to deal with this kind of crossroads. One, you can go raise money. And the value of raising money, if you have that option, is that you can start to take, let's call it an 18-month view of your business. So you can say, I'm going to raise $1 million seed round or a $500,000 seed round. I'm going to deploy that amount of money. Just divide that number by 18. So if you were to raise $900,000, it would be $50,000 a month. If you raised $450,000, it would be $25,000 a month. You get the idea. So you pick that number and you say, okay, I'm going to raise that $500,000. I'm going to burn $25,000 a month. Your investors understand that's what you're doing. And then, okay, now we're taking an 18-month view of the business. You're going to put your head down and work for 9 months. Then you're going to look up and say, how close am I to hitting the goalpost to raise the next round of funding, the $3 million round of funding? And do I have to change anything? And then you're going to go back on the road in month 12 or 10 or 12, spend 3 or 4 months on the road trying to put together the next round of funding. Or if you can't, if the market crashes or there's some thing that goes wrong with the business, you might have to put your head down and try to fix it, or get to profitability, make cuts so that you're not burning $25,000 or $50,000 a month, and then go, put your head down and get back to work. So that would be the life you would live. And that's one style of life, which means you're now serving your customers, but you're also having to spend 20% of your time on managing the investment community. So you have to decide, do I want to spend 100% of my time on my customers and my team, or do I want to add a third variable? Right now, you've got it pretty pure. You've got to manage your 2 partners and the freelancers. That's one part of your job. You got to manage the customers. Now you're going to bring in a third constituent that you have to please, investors. So if each group got equal amounts of time, it would be a third, a third, and a third. That takes away. So one of the beautiful things about the bootstrapping you've done to date is it's allowed you to focus just on your team, just on your customers. So if you can, keep bootstrapping, because it's not like this is a category where you've got massive competition. You're doing something very unique. You're competing against people writing the blog posts themselves, or people hiring a writer and being disappointed, or people going on like Fiverr or Upwork and having to sort through stuff. So it's a real jump ball. You have to decide, do you want to get on this fast track? Once you get on the fast track, it's very hard to get off. So it's sort of like an express train. You're going to get on that express train. You're going to get to the end of the line, and it's not a local. It's going to go fast, and it's going to, drop you off at a location you have to make sure you're okay with, which is those investors want to return 25, 50, 100 times their money. So just, be cognizant of that. I think it's a great thing to do if you're eyes wide open, understanding that you're signing up for ridiculously fast, high growth. Investors do not want slow growth. They do not want methodical growth, even if they say that. They want things to break out. They're looking for their Uber, their Airbnb, their Google, their Facebook, their Instagram. They're not interested in a slow growth business. So if you take that money, you got to triple, quadruple revenue year over year over year for a couple of years until you hit 10 million. Are you prepared to do that?
I'm not sure. Like it's great considerations to think about. I think that the difference with us and like any other traditional SaaS platform is that we're, as you said, we are in services, meaning you can scale as fast as like your investors want, but unlike SaaS, SaaS like service as a software kind of like may not scale as well because you're dealing with humans, which is why I don't know if I'm like ready to press the red button or take the red pill and go down that path, because that might be a path that leads to the death of quality of my company, and then we'll just be a content mill, which I don't want to be. Like I want to be a
So this is the rub. You have the whole Christmas break to think about it, the holiday break. You can think about it. Actually, this will probably air after the new year. So it's a good thing for you to think about. You got to go for a long walk and think about it. You're young. You have other startups in front of you. So if you do have the opportunity, investors do want to give you money. That's a signal that you probably have something that could scale. The investors would not be knocking on your door if they didn't think it could scale. So since you have qualified yourself to be in the NBA, to be in the Olympics, the way I would look at it is, wait a second, if people want to recruit me for their NBA team, or even if it's the G League of the NBA, maybe that's a sign that I should stop playing in the YMCA and the rec league. You may have earned yourself this opportunity, and life is short. I can guarantee you, nobody said, I am really glad I didn't go to the NBA and try that. I'm glad I stayed at the YMCA or playing at Rucker. Like nobody says that at the end of their life. What they do say is, God, I should have been more committed. I could have maybe made it in the NBA. So that's just one metaphor. But if the NBA is knocking, you might want to listen. If the scouts think you can do it, they have their choice of, people to work with. So it does mean you're onto something. And it reminds me of the criticism of Uber in the early days, which was, oh my God, you have to deal with people. You have to deal with drivers. You have to acquire driver supply. Oh, you have to acquire customers. So acquiring customers people are used to, but the idea of having the driver partners, a lot of people said no to investing in Uber and investing in Airbnb because they both had to deal with humans, drivers and hosts. But look at the reward Airbnb got for doing the arduous work of onboarding hosts, going out and sending a photographer there, dealing with them complaining about the percentages, dealing with them complaining about, undesirables renting their place and throwing a party. There was a lot of back and forth, and it was hard. And then the same thing with drivers. There were drivers who were complaining about what they were getting paid or the split, or why do I have to take calls out to Oakland? I don't want to go over the Bay Bridge. Why won't you tell me what the call is before I get in the car? Or what about, why isn't it surge pricing? Or, why are we surge pricing? It's just like all this arduous pain. And you're dealing with that arduous pain. If you got to deal with a writer who's like, I want 50 cents a word. And you're like, well, that breaks our model. We can't do it. Oh, well, I just got a full-time job. I don't need to do this anymore. Or I could go direct to the customer. You're going to have to deal with that pain. But if you do deal with that pain, the reward is you might build, $1 billion business. So I think it's time for Matt to sit down. You got to have that conversation with yourself. Do I want to try for greatness, or do I want to have a lifestyle business that makes me $100,000, $200,000, $500,000 a year? A lifestyle business that throws off $500,000 a year and you're living in Colorado, yum, yum. You're going to have a pretty great life. So I wouldn't judge you if you can take down $5 million in profits over the next decade and have the best house in Boulder. Rock on, dude. It's all good. That's a great business. But the worst case, if you do the venture route, is it blows out in 2 years. You tried, you learned a shit ton, and now you go back and build the next lifestyle business, because nobody can stop you from, basically creating the next version of what you're doing. So don't feel too precious about your business. You're young. You have many ideas. Going for it, I think, is always worth it. That's just my belief.
That's really good advice. I appreciate it.
All right. I'm rooting for you. Congratulations on the MRR and moving the pricing, because the original pricing was not monthly, right?
The original price was monthly, but it was in the hundreds. I was charging in between 75 and 100 a post, and
that's why I didn't like the business. I remember we talked, and I was like, this seems like too hard. But now it's 500 and 3,500 a month.
Minimum $500 a post, and then for $3,500, it's like it gets you a little bit more. It's kind of the fast and furious plan if you want to get ranked faster.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. And how many of your customers? How many do you have in each Easy Peasy versus Fast and Furious? I love the delineation.
Yeah. We have 3 that are the Fast and Furious. The plan you see on the actual website is somewhat new, but I can say that we have 2 customers paying $3K a month, 1 customer paying $4K a month, and many others paying for 4 posts. So it's kind of like it's a very business model experimentation on what is the best, what sounds best to the customer.
Yeah.
But we have people paying something between $2,000 to $4,000.
Have 3 choices. That tends to work out really well because you may grab some whales. Almost nobody's going to take the low one, and you'll just direct people right to the middle. So if you have Easy Peasy 500, Fast and Furious 3,500, I would put a $10,000 one there, which is enterprise, and it's going to get you, a post a day, every business day, and then let people go, you know what, I don't need the 10, but I'll go 35, as opposed to people going to the 35 and saying, well, maybe I'll go to the 5.
Mm-hmm.
Put a whale up there. See if you get a whale.
Yeah.
You might grab one. And if you grab one, it could be, that could be your dev hire right there.
Totally.
You got a 50% profit, 5K, developer, freelance developer, in Boulder, outside of Boulder, might cost you $75K or something. You could be right in the zone of hiring one.
Yeah.
With just 1 customer. All right, man.
Cool.
Keep rocking.
Thank you.
I always suggest that you go for it. And hey, we should catch up again, about the accelerator. You might be getting into that zone. I really, the website's looking great, by the way.
Yeah, you can link Jeremy, my co-founder, for that. I'll definitely shoot you a separate email about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think just for people listening, if you go to PubLoft.com and check it out, having a really good web presence, keep that in mind, is that that's how people will judge you if it's really corny or not well thought out. It could be a quick pass from an investor and a customer. So make it look great. Make it tight. Tight is right. Okay. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, Matt.
Cool. Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Let's take another caller. Who's on the line?
Hey, this is Austin calling.
Hey, Austin, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from San Francisco, California.
Okay. And you have a blocker in your business or a challenge?
Oh, I just wanted to ask Jason. My question that I submitted was I was curious what you've learned in 2018 about startups that changed a perspective or opinion that you had previously.
It's a great question. What do you do there in San Francisco? I'm curious, Austin. What do you do there? You sound like you work in customer support or something like that. You sound like you've got that very customer support kind of vibe to you. What do you do?
I do handle customer support at my company. I work at a company called Inside.com.
Oh, my God. It's Austin who works with me at Inside.com. Yeah, it's a great question, Austin. What did I learn in 2018? Well, one of the things I've been learning about startups is, and, this is something that you learn over time, is that focus and simplicity and what you don't do is as important as what you do. So when you get a moderate amount of success, let's take Inside as an example, we started to have this great success with people opening the emails and getting our top 10 newsletters. And we try some other things, and then all of a sudden, advertisers seem to like it, and we start having some nice growth there. So the natural inclination would be, in a, I think, less savvy entrepreneur, okay, what else can we add to this? And that makes total sense. Like, let's say you have a successful restaurant and you make the best burger in town. You're like, okay, we have the best burger. Now we need to have the best lasagna. It's like, no, calm down. Can you make that burger any better? Can you make it more consistently? Can you find more customers, more locations, and sell more burgers since you have perfected that? So in the case of Inside, what did we perfect? We perfected the top 10 newsletter. Okay, so can we go from 30 newsletters to 60? And that's our plan for next year or so, or thereabouts. Can we go from 3 world-class sales executives with 2 or 3 SDRs? Can we make that triple in 2019, right? So relentless focus. And the problem is the people who work in the early stage of a company are typically the 0 to 1 people, the idea people, and the people who do really well in the world and scale businesses. Those are the 1 to 1 million people, going from 1 customer to 1 million. They tend to be a different mindset. They're the refiners, the operators. And the problem I see, and I've had to self-correct myself, is you get ADD or ADHD or founders who like to build stuff. It's very boring to make the 10,000th or the millionth hamburger. But that's where all the profit is. So if you really want to build an at-scale business, focusing. So if you look at the operation at launch, flipping over to my other business that I'm super actively involved in, I said, you know what? Let's go from 2 or 3 classes a year for the accelerator. Let's make it 7 classes. Let's go from 20 graduates to 50 graduate year over year. And then can we take the podcast and can we go from 2 advertisers to 3? Can we go from 150,000 people downloading it and watching it every episode to 300,000 or 500,000? How can we make the product better? And so that's what I think the big lesson for me is. It's a reinforcing one because I've been learning it year after year. But so many times in the accelerator, in my own experience or talking to friends, people get something right and then they stop seeing how far it can go. That's the key to success after you have product market fit, is scaling. And it's a relentless focus that you need to have. And so it's a great question. That's what I've learned. Have you learned anything, Austin? What are big lessons for you? Because you have to work with me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I guess I've kind of gone through that similar lesson because it's a thing that we've been focusing on and working on. And and I think there is that sort of tendency when you can make something work to then kind of move on to creating the next thing. And we've kind of gone through this strategic process of tripling down on the things that are working and trying to focus entirely on that and not necessarily venturing in too many new directions because we know we have something that works really well.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you get to 300 newsletters, maybe we could add a podcast to the top 10%, right? But to just build a podcasting company on top of an email newsletter company, although that might seem like the perfect adjacency, and in fact, every time we start talking about it, I really get excited. I'm like, well, wait a second. If we can do $1 million in revenue with 30 newsletters, what can we do? 10 million or more with 300. And the answer is obviously we can. So let's just stay focused until we get there. And really, if you want to get the attention of the world, including, world-class investors, you have to scale and you have to set targets that are aggressive and try to hit them. And, that's really the difference between people who change the world and who don't. You look at, what Zuckerberg, his level of focus, he's a maniac. And I think he's ethically and morally challenged. But one thing he is not is focused. He is as focused gets. He is trying to figure out how I get all individuals on the planet, not only on Facebook, but online. So they started saying, you know what, if Africa or India doesn't have enough people online, we'll provide internet access in order to get them online. Or if China needs us to censor people and we need to hand over people who maybe are involved in things the Chinese government does not allow, we'll hand them over to the Chinese. Like, that's how focused he is. He'll even move his moral compass on human rights to get those next billion users. So it's very interesting. I think even though I think Zuckerberg's completely loathsome and how he runs his business is not the way I think anybody should, I do think that his relentless focus on just getting people on the platform, keeping them on the platform, is his best quality. But you don't want to have your best quality at the expense of just basic human decency. So that's the sort of warning I would have of, just be careful your focus doesn't lead to the subjugation of your democracy that you built the company under. Anyway, great talking to you, Austin. What's it like to work for me? Tell everybody candidly, not too candidly. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I've enjoyed it. I learned a lot. And I think we tend to work well together. And when we have disagreements, which happens, then I think that, yeah, I don't know. It's fun. It's fun debating and working through things with you. So overall, I'd say it's pretty cool.
All right. Sounds good. I'll talk to you soon, and let's have a great 2019.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.